Good morning students, welcome my channel Bhuloks Mathematics. Last class I have already discussed about some properties related to definite integral. Let us come and start some new properties related to definite integral. Property number, write down property. Integration from A to C fx dx, that can be written as where A is less than B less than C, A less than B less than C. So that can be written as A to B fx dx plus B to C fx dx. This is very important properties. Integration from A to C fx dx is equal to A to B fx dx plus B to C fx dx, where B lies between A and C. So using these properties, we have to work out some example. Write down 2 to 4 x square dx is equal to 2 to 3 x square dx plus 3 to 4 x square dx. So now we have to prove this is equal to this. Now LHS. Integration from 2 to 4 x square dx. Now integration of x square dx, that is s cube by 3 evaluated from 2 to 4. First of all, we have to put the upper limit in place of x, that is 4 to the power 3 minus 2 to the power 3. So the result is 1 by 3, 4, 64 minus it is 80. So the result is 6, then 56 by 3. Okay, so the result is 56 by 3 from the LHS side. Write down RHS. Integration of 2 to 3 s square dx plus 3 to 4 s square dx. So the result is s square dx integration s cube by 3 evaluated from 2 to 3. Here it is s cube by 3 evaluated from 3 to 4. So the result is 1 by 3 constant, that will coming outside, 3 to the power 3 minus 2 to the power 3. Here it is 1 by 3, 4 to the power 3 minus 3 to the power 3. So we get, here it is 1 by 3 is common. We get 3 to the power 3 minus 2 to the power 3 plus 4 to the power 3 minus 3 to the power 3. Okay, plus 3 to the power 3 minus 3 to the power 3 cancelled. So the result is 1 by 3, here it is 64 minus 8, the result is 56 by 3. So LHS is equal to RHS. So this is the very important properties. Integration from A to C fx dx is equal to integration from A to B fx dx plus B to C fx dx, where B lies between A and C. Okay? By using these properties, we have to work out one example. So, next, write down another properties. Property number 4. Write down property. Integration from minus a to a fx dx is equal to, the value is 0 if fx is odd function. Value is 2 times 0 to a fx dx when fx is even function. Remember, this is a very important formula. Minus a to a fx dx, whose value is 0 when fx is odd function, and 2 times 0 to a fx dx when fx is even function. We know what is even function and what is odd function. Write down definition. Even function. A function fx is said to be even if f of minus x is equal to fx. F of minus x is equal to fx. Then function fx is said to be a even function. Example of even function. Write down fx is equal to x square, x to the power 4, x to the power 8, dot dot dot. Fx is equal to cos x, cos square x, sin square x, sin to the power 4th x, dot dot dot. These are called as a even function because f of minus x is equal to f of x. Now let us define what is odd function. Write down odd function. Odd function. A function fx is said to be odd if f of minus x is equal to minus fx. A function fx is said to be odd function if f of minus x is equal to minus fx. So write down example. Fx is equal to x, x cube, x to the power 5, dot dot dot. Fx is equal to sin x, sin qx, sin to the power 5x, sin hx hyperbolic function, etc. etc. These are known as the odd function. It is a even function, it is a odd function. We know that even into even, write down even function into even, that is even. Even into even, even. Odd into odd, that is even. Even into odd, that is odd. Odd into even, that is odd. You remember, odd function into odd function, that is even function. Even function into even function, that gives rise to even function. Even function when multiplied with odd function, the result is odd function. Odd function multiplied with even function, the result is odd function. Okay? So now let us prove these properties. Write down proof. Proof. Write down proof. Here minus proof, write down minus a to a fx dx. This can be written as minus a to 0 fx dx plus 0 to a fx dx, because 0 is lies between minus a to plus a, because minus a less than 0 less than a. This property I have already discussed today. So when, write down case 1, when fx is even function, when fx is even function, that means f of minus x is equal to fx. For even function, f of minus x is equal to fx. Now in place of fx, we have to write f of minus x. Write down minus a to 0 f of minus x dx, because fx is even function. Here it is 0 to a f of x dx. This is I1, this is I2. I1, I2. For I1, you have to take minus x as t. Write down minus x as equal to t. dt by dx is equal to minus 1. dt by dx is equal to minus 1. So dt is equal to minus dx. Once you take, means you have to change the limit. When x tends to minus a, x tends to minus a, that means in place of x you have to put minus a, t tends to a. When x tends to 0, t tends to 0. Okay? So now this integral becomes, that down, this integral becomes, in place of minus a, we have to write a. In place of 0, we have to write 0. Here it is f of t minus x, you have to put t. In place of dx, we have to put minus dt. Plus, here it is 0 to a f of x dx. We know one property, when lower limit changes to upper limit and upper limit changes to lower limit, then the integral sign will be reversed. That is 0 to a f of t dt. Here it is 0 to a f of x dx. So we know definite integral is independent of variable. Definite integral is independent of variable. So that can be written as 0 to a f of x dx plus 0 to a f of x dx. This is applied. Definite integral is independent of variable. This is I, this is also I. That is 2 times 0 to a fx dx. 2 times 0 to a fx dx. You remember, when fx is even function, then minus a to a fx dx is equal to 2 times from 0 to a fx dx. Now we have to prove for odd function. Write down case 2. Write down case 2. Case 2. Case 2. When fx is odd function. When fx is odd function, then f of minus x is equal to minus fx. When fx is odd function, then f of minus x is equal to minus fx. So this can be written as star. The star becomes minus a to a fx dx is equal to minus a to 0 f of minus x, that is minus, in place of fx we have to write f of minus x into dx. Here that can be written as 0 to a fx dx. So now let us take minus x as a t, dt dx is equal to minus 1, dt is equal to minus dx. When x tends to minus a, t tends to a, and when x tends to 0, t tends to 0. So this integral becomes, write down, this integral becomes, here it is a to 0 minus f of minus t, f of t, in place of dx we have to write, minus is taking common, minus dt, so here it is 0 to a f of x dx. Now here minus is common. When lower limit changes to upper limit and lower limit changes to upper limit and upper limit changes to lower limit, the integral sign will be reversed. Here it is 0 to a, it is minus 0 to a f of t dt. Here 0 to a fx dx. Okay, so definite integral is independent of variable. That can be written as minus 0 to a fx dx plus 0 to a fx dx. So this cancel is equal to 0. You see here, in place of fx dx we have to put minus f of minus x, because fx is odd function. F of minus x is equal to minus fx written here. So that is, in place of fx I am write minus f of minus x dx. Okay, so you remember minus a to a fx dx is equal to 0 when fx is a odd function, or 2 times 0 to a fx dx when fx is a even function. Now by using this, how can you solve the problems? Start it up. Example. Integration from minus pi by 2 sin qx dx. Here it is fx. Fx is equal to sin qx, which is odd function. So minus a to a fx dx When fx is odd, the value is 0. Directly you have to write, because sin qx is an odd function. Here it is minus a to plus a. Minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2. Fx is an odd function, then value is 0. This is the answer of this question. Question number 2. Integration from minus pi by 3 to plus pi by 3 sin qx into cos square x dx. You see here, what is the result? Short question. It is a odd function. It is a even function. Odd into even. The result is odd. So the value is 0. Minus a to a fx dx is equal to 0 when fx is an odd function. Sin qx is an odd function. Cos square x is an even function. Odd into even, that is odd. So the result is 0. So now next write down minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 cos square x dx. You see here, cos square x is a even function. Minus a to plus a. So we get it is 2 times 0 to pi by 2 cos square x dx. We know cos square x is equal to 1 plus cos 2x by 2 into dx. So these 2 cancelled with these 2. So integration of dx, that is x. Integration of cos 2x, that is sin 2x by 2. Evaluated from 0 to pi by 2. So now we have to put upper limit minus lower limit. The result is pi by 2 plus 1 by 2 sin 2 into pi by 2 minus 0. 0 sin 0 0. Here it is 2. Cancel. Sin pi is equal to 0. So the result is pi by 2. Remember, minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 cos square x dx. The result is pi by 2. So write down another question. Suppose minus 1 to plus 1 x to the power 101 dx. It is a odd function. Minus a to plus a. The value is 0. Question. So this is the value 0. So write down another question. Integration of minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 sin to the power 4th x into x to the power 5 into dx. It is an odd function. It is an even function. Suppose it is odd function. It is a even function. Even into odd. Even into odd, the result is 0. Result is 0. Write down another question. Integration of minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2 cos x into sin square x dx. Here it is even function. Here it is also even function. Even into even, that is even. So 2 times 0 to pi by 2. Here it is cos x into sin square x dx. So now we have to take sin x as a t. Sin x as t. dt by dx is equal to cos x, derivative of sin x cos x, dt is equal to cos x into dx. Once you put, means you have to change the limit when x tends to 0, and in place of x we have to put 0, sin 0 0, t tends to 0, x tends to pi by 2, upper limit, t tends to 1, sin pi by 2 is equal to 1. So now in place of cos x dx we have to put dt, in place of sin square x we have to put t square. Now the integral becomes 2 times 0 to 1, here it is t square dt. Integration of t square, that is t cube by 3 evaluated from 0 to 1. So the result is 2 by 3. This is the answer of this question. Thank you to all for watching my videos. If you like my classes, please subscribe my channel, share my channel and like my channel.